You know that feeling. It's late, and you're staring at a screen in a dark room. No flashy charts, just a blinking cursor and a P&L that's slightly in the red. You feel this tight, invisible knot in your chest, a desperate need for the next candle to move in your direction. You think you're fighting the market. You think you're fighting the algos or the big banks. But that tension, that's not ambition. It's the sound of you trying to win. And as long as you are trying to win, you will continue to lose. Today, we aren't talking about indicators. We're talking about the moment the knot in your chest disappears, the internal shift that happens right before the numbers in your bank account actually start to change. Expectation destruction. Most people get into trading because they want to be right. They want the rush of the prediction coming true. You think your win rate matters. It doesn't. You think finding the bottom makes you a pro. It doesn't. Most traders focus on the external scoreboard, the dollar amount, the screenshot, the brag. But the real signal, the one that separates the 1% from the 99%, is the internal scoreboard. In the beginning, you believe trading is a game of conquering. You want to beat the market. But the market is an ocean. You don't beat the ocean, you learn to float in it. The moment I stopped trying to win was the moment I actually started making money. It sounds like a paradox. It is. The 4 shifts of the profitable mind. 1. Boredom is your new high-performance state. If your heart is racing while you're in a trade, you've already lost. Beginners seek an adrenaline hit. They check the 1-minute chart every 30 seconds. They feel a surge when they're up and depression when they're down. Professional behavior feels like clockwork. It's almost boring, like a pilot checking a pre-flight list for the 10,000th time. This is the biological shift from the amygdala, your fight or flight center, to the prefrontal cortex, where logical analysis happens. When you are excited, your brain loses the ability to process probability. If you find yourself yawning while holding a position, you aren't gambling anymore. You're operating. 2. You start rooting against your own bias. A master trader is more excited to find a reason why their trade is wrong than why it is right. Beginners suffer from confirmation bias. They ignore red flags and hunt for the one indicator that says they're right. Pros seek disconfirming evidence. They enter a long position and immediately ask, where would a seller kill my thesis? Think of a high-level defense attorney. They don't just study their own case, they obsess over the prosecutor's best arguments so they aren't surprised. If you feel insulted when the market hits your stop loss, you are still tied to your ego. The market isn't rejecting you, it's just providing data. 3. The death of the recovery mindset. You don't need to make back what you lost. That money is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. Beginners fall into revenge trading. They lose $500 and immediately double their position size to get it back. They are stuck in the past. Professional behavior treats every moment as a new game. The current balance is the only balance that exists. This is a battle against loss aversion. Humans feel the pain of loss twice as strongly as the joy of gain. To be profitable, you have to override this biological hardware. A major sign of growth is when you lose a trade, close the laptop, and go for a walk without a single thought of fixing the day. 4. Probability over certainty. You can be wrong 60% of the time and still become a millionaire. Beginners want to know what will happen next. Pros want to know what is my risk to reward if this happens. A casino owner doesn't care if a gambler wins a jackpot on table 4. They know that over 10,000 spins, the math wins. You must stop looking at this trade and start looking at the next 100 trades. Internal versus external results.
Here is the hardest part of this journey, the lag. Your internal shift, your discipline, your calmness, your lack of ego will happen weeks or months before your bank account reflects it. This is where most people quit. They start doing the right things, but because they don't see an immediate spike in profit, they assume the right things aren't working. They go back to the winning mindset. They go back to the hype. Do not mistake a flat equity curve for a lack of progress. If you followed your rules today, you won, even if you lost money. If you broke your rules today, you lost, even if you made money. The internal mastery is the foundation. The external wealth is just the house that sits on top of it. You cannot build the house first. The story of the silent breakthrough. I remember a trader named David. For 2 years, he was a system hopper. He'd find a strategy, win for 3 days, lose once, get angry, and throw the strategy away. He was desperate to win. One Tuesday, he had a massive setup. Everything aligned. He entered. 10 minutes later, the market spiked against him and hit his stop, a $1,000 loss. In the past, David would have screamed, reopened a larger position, and blown his account by noon. But this time, he just sat there. He took a sip of water. He logged the trade in his journal. Setup valid. Outcome, loss. Emotion, neutral. He didn't trade for the rest of the day. He didn't even look at the charts. He didn't make money that day. In fact, he was down. But that was the day David became a professional. 3 months later, his equity curve finally started that slow, steady climb upward. Not because he got smarter, but because he stopped needing to be right. Final insight. Trading is the only profession in the world where you can do everything perfectly and still get a negative result in the short term. If you can accept that, if you can truly, deeply accept that you have no control over the market, only over yourself, the winning takes care of itself. Stop looking for the big win. Start looking for the perfect execution, quiet execution, consistent discipline, boring routines. The world rewards those who can handle the boredom of mastery. The knot in your chest, let it go. The market isn't your enemy. It's just a mirror. Fix the person in the mirror, and the charts will follow.